All right, we're starting with our exercise for week 3, and week three's exercise can be found in your case book, the MIS cases. And if you start on page 252, you can read about the case example, and before you start, do read from page 252 to 256 so that you get a better understanding of what it is that we're doing and why we're doing it. But beginning on page 257, there are step-by-step instructions for how to do this in Excel. So we're going to start with, let's go ahead and save this workbook as Salon. And then we're going to create new sheets. Now I'm using Office 365, so it's a little bit different than the book. However, I'm going to try to use things that have been standard and around for a little while. So their instructions tell you to find it from insert, and I don't have an insert new sheet, but I've never done it that way anyway. You'll find that on the bottom left there's a plus sign beside the sheet 1 there. So if you're wanting to create new sheets, then you can just click on that plus sign and it'll create a new sheet. To rename the sheets, you can also double click on it and rename the sheet. So it asks us to rename the first one price list, then summary, week 1, week 2, week 3, looks like we need one more, week 4. Alright, so now you've got your worksheets, and these are essentially separate worksheets but all in the same workbook. So when you hear it referring to workbook, this Excel document has multiple sheets in it that can have different content or different data stored. So we're going to move on ahead to task 1, and when you click on price list, that's making it active. So that's the worksheet we're working on now. And we're going to adjust row 1's height to 30 and row 2's height to 21. So by grabbing the column, now you can't grab it out here, you have to actually grab it in the column where you see the numbers. I'm going to move it to where it says height of 30. Notice the inches are 0.42. I think the instructions in the book have you adjusting the height through formatting and row height. And you'll notice that it says row height of 0.42 because it's showing it in inches. So if you do it like the book and you're in Office 365, it might be slightly different, as they might be using points or pixels. But I just choose to use this. I think this is a lot easier. And we see the height, and we see it translated into inches as well. So the second one, we're going to move it to 21. So both of those have been sized. Again, some of the formatting I'm going to breeze through because that's building on the last week, and you should be able to do a lot of the formatting as just building off of last week. So we'll go ahead, slide this out to 49, I believe it is. Yeah, we're just going to go for close there. And by default, it's already at 10. Alright, now we're going to enter Timeka's tanning salon. And they want us to make it bold and change background colors and a few different things like that, and merging cells. So like I said, I'm going to skip ahead on some of that for the sake of not making this video too long. Alright, and you can set background colors and everything else for the cells, but we're going to move right ahead. And you're going to need to create some borders and different things as well. Just to show you, for creating borders, if you highlight and click up here, you can create outside borders, and it'll go around the whole thing. You can create just a bottom border. Didn't get that one set, apparently. Well, it's a none. We'll do bottom border. You'll see it that it set a bottom border and so forth. So when it asks you to set borders, you can do it that way. And background colors, change the color of the font, all that stuff. I think you're probably more than capable of doing now. I've gone ahead and formatted the worksheet to reflect what we are asked to do within the book. And I'm going to illustrate task 3 because this is a very important step to ensure that the lookups that you do later will work correctly. So they want you to take A3 and highlight all the way through B20, and you're going to click up here in the far left corner, and you're going to rename this price list. And that'll be important to do if you get an error on your week 1 report later that looks like it's referencing a bad name value. And if you're getting the error, you'll know what I'm talking about more than likely. This is the step that you missed. Alright, so that is now set, and now they want you to create the weekly worksheets. I've already created mine, but I am going to show you just a couple things real quick. When they ask you to select more than one, you will hold down your shift key and select all the tabs. When doing that and you make an edit, it will then show up on the different worksheets. So even though the values change, that edit there will show up on all of them. And if you delete it from one, then it removes it from all of them. Alright, just make sure that after you finish the edits that they ask you to make within the book, that you then select off of it so that you're only selecting one at a time. If you have them all selected and you select week 1, week 2, week 3, they're still all highlighted in white. So make sure to select on one of the gray ones, and then you can bounce back into it. Okay, we're moving on to task 4, and I'm going to show you how to insert the values and or the formulas. Again, they want us to select all 4 weeks, and you'll go up to one session, so that's D5, and we're going to enter a lookup value. So it's asking us to put in equals V lookup. Oops. Sorry, I bumped my mouse there. V lookup, and then we're going to look up the value in A5, and A5 is the text value. And remember where we defined our data group as price list? So it's going to go to that data group and it's going to look for a value that matches what's in A5. And in A5 we have one session. Then it's going to look for column 2 of that value and make sure that it's greater than 1. Then we're going to multiply it by 5. Alright, so what it's doing is looking up in our price list here, it's looking up one session and what value is in column 2. It's taking that, and then it's supposed to multiply it times C5, but I didn't get the C in there, I just put 5. Alright, so now you have a 125. Now we're going to extend this down so that it shows that formula for all of them. So essentially we just copied the formula, and then we're going to copy that formula to Monday sales, and again extend it down, and you'll do the same. I've already done it. I've already done it to these. So that is a good part of section 4 is creating those sales figures, and you'll want to format those as well. So remember, we highlight them, we choose currency, and on down the list. So you'll go through and do that to each one of the sales columns. Then it asks you to create totals at the very end. And in order to create totals, you're going to create a sum here. And so let's go ahead and we'll just remove that for here. So if we're trying to come up with a sum, we can go to equal sum, and I go ahead and put my parentheses in. And then I click inside the parentheses, and we want to sum the total units for this column. So I'm going to hold down Control on a PC or Command on a Mac, and I'm going to select all of my units, and hit Enter. And then you'll see the value for the units, and you can drag that out and it'll copy that formula on down. Same for total dollar sales. We'll go to equal sum, put in our parentheses, go back to the first one, Command on a Mac, Control on a PC. By the way, if you find that my screen looks a little different than yours, I am working from a Mac. And there you go.